Good morning, class. How are you this morning? You've all been taking attendance, I assume, by my assistant in the back. Very good, very good. Well, my name is Cathy Ellsworth, and I will be your new teacher this morning. And we're going to do a talk on morals and manners of the Victorian America. This is the book we'll be going from. This is a book by Wayne Erbsen, and you can get this book at the library or on Amazon if you're interested. Some of the manners and the morals of the Victorian era show how far we have come, but how much farther we have yet to go. Victorian morality is a distillation of moral views of people living at the time of Queen Victoria. Her reign was 1837 to 1901. And the moral climate of the United Kingdom of the 19th century, many of these values spread throughout the world. The British Empire started it. The term Victorian was first used during the Great Exhibition in London in 1851, where Victorian inventions and morals were shown to the world, and thus it spread to America. Victorian values were developed in all facets of Victorian living. The morality and values of the period came in the form of class of religion, morality, elitism, industrialism, and improvements. Historians now regard the Victorian era as a time of many contradictions, such as the widespread cultivation of an outward appearance of dignity and restraint, together with the prevalence of social phenomena such as prostitution and child labor. A plethora of social movements arose from the attempts to improve the prevailing harsh living conditions for many under rigid class systems. So our first topic is going to be annoying behavior, and we'll get started. Might have to stand a little bit more to the side here for this electronic stuff to work. And it's not working. Class, now calm down. All right. Now, annoying behavior, one of the things was nail biting. Biting the nails is one of the annoying habits.
Well, how about
It worked earlier.
I believe you.
It's not gonna work that way.
It's not going to work this way?
We'll continue without this until they get it fixed. Yet one which almost any boy will fail into unless his mother nips it in the bud. A habit of tapping the floor with the foot or the table with the knuckles. Comes on gradually, but once fixed is exceedingly difficult to overcome. External vigilance should be a mother's watchful word, for the true secret of curing bad habits is in never allowing them to be formed. Thank you, Jennifer. The ounce of prevention is worth more than the pound of cure. This is from Manfred's Magazine in 1885. The next one is The devil's tattoo. Do not beat the devil's tattoo by drumming with your fingers on a table. It cannot fail to annoy everyone within hearing, and it is an index of a vacant mind. 1843. Our next subject we're going to be doing is bowing. The bow is the touchstone of good breeding. It is a civility to return a bow, although you do not know the one who is you're bowing to. Bowing once to a person on a public promenade is all that civility requires. 1910. The dance bow. A gentleman should always make a bow to a lady when asking her to dance, such as this. And both of them should bow and say thank you when the dance is over. 1887. The curtsy versus the bow. Formerly, it was the habit for the ladies to curtsy on being introduced. But this has been changed, and it's more easy and graceful custom of bowing. 1868. One more thing on the subject. Never, never, never fail to settle all debts promptly. Never buy on credit. If cash can be had, never keep washerwomen, seamstresses, nor anyone dependent upon daily labor, waiting for payment. This is under business etiquette. The next thing, never adopt a disagreeable manner when requesting payment for a debt. Never shirk labor, nor fail to devote the whole attention to the work in hand. 1889. Cleanliness. Oh, a lot's to be said about the cleanliness of the Victorian era. If you came to my previous talk on fashion, you would have seen some of the clothing that women had to wear to make that easier. One of the things on cleanliness, inner cleanliness. It is your duty as an intelligent human being to be chaste and cleanly. Be careful of the clothing of the mind as the outward apparel. Let no smirch or smut soil the pure garments of thought. Be cleanly inside and outside. Thus will you attain an honest, sterling character of high moral excellence. 1894. Smelly persons. Bad smelling persons are exceedingly disagreeable companions. 1892. Conversation. Ill-bred people shout, shriek, and scream. They do not converse. 1910. Buffoonery. Mimicry is the lowest and most ill-bred of buffoonery. Swearing, sneering, private affairs, either of yourself or any other, have long ago been banished out of conversation of well-mannered people. 1869. Whispering. Whispering is atrocious and cannot be tolerated. Eschew scandals, for in scandal, as in robbery, the receiver is always thought as the thief. 1869. Courtship. When a man finds a way to a woman's heart is a boulevard. He has taken the wrong road. 1901. Where danger looks. Kissing, embracing, sitting on a lover's lap, leaning on her breast, long periods of secluded companionship are dangerous conditions. Thoughtful parents should have a profound fear at the dangers surrounding such state of affairs. It is a marvel that so many ladies arrive safely at the wedding day. If our young women realize the danger of arousing the sexuality even of the best men, they would shudder at the risk they run. Don't do it, ladies. 1916. Here's a quiz for you. Is it proper for a young man, when calling on a young lady, to present a bunch of flowers or a box of candy? Does anyone have the answer in the class?
Yes to both. I think it was an either or.
Certainly, if willing, be apt to make him welcome guest. 1889. You are correct. Dining. To all gentlemen, I would say, learn to dance. You will find it one of the best plans for correcting bashfulness. 1875. So at the dinner party, there's usually music and dancing, so that's one of the things you should learn to do. Be punctual. Well-bred people arrive as nearly at the appointed dinner hour as they can. It's very vulgar assumption of importance purposely to arrive half an hour to an hour behind time. Besides the folly of allowing 8 or 10 people, hungry people, such a tempting opportunity of discussing your foibles. 1843. Here's another quiz for you, class. Is it proper to use a knife and fork in eating asparagus? Or should the stalks be taken in the fingers?
Fingers. Unless it has a sauce.
Never use a knife. Many well-bred people take the stalks in the fingers. 1889. Very good, very good. Home-cooked meals. Good manners at dinner, when dinner is just a home meal, requires no squabbling, no quarrels, no finding in flaws in anything from soup to dessert. 1910. Fashion and appearance. My fashion is what usually a Victorian teacher would wear. They called her a marm. And she would wear a long skirt to cover her ankles, a high neck to cover her neck. So this would be appropriate, long sleeves to cover her wrists. So nothing except the head pretty much would be showing at this point. Fashion for the ladies, the well-kept beard for the men. I'll start with the ladies. Nobody but my husband. In America, some women think that anything is good enough to wear at home. They go about in slantingly morning dresses, unkept hair, and slippers down to the heel, down at the heel. Nobody will see me, they said, but my husband. 1916. The well-kept beard. The pride of a man is a handsome, well-kept beard. 1893. The well-dressed man, a snuff box, watch, studs, sleeveless buttons, watch chain, and the one ring are all the jewelry a well-dressed man can wear. 1875. I have a funny picture here I'd like to show you. The 7 ages of man's pants. You have the bird's eye linen age, a diaper. The boomer age, the polontunes. the knickerbocker age, the first long pants age, the rah-rah age, the business age, and the success age. Next, handshaking. And I've got a quiz for you. If both parties are wearing gloves, is it necessary that each remove them in shaking hands? No takers on that question? However, if one has ungloved hands, it is courtesy for the other to remove the glove. One more on that. Present, a cordial gasp and a clasp and clasp the hand firmly, shaking it warmly for a period of 2 to 3 seconds. And then relinquish the gasp entirely. It's rude to grasp the hand very tightly and shake it vigorously. To hold it a long time is often very embarrassing and is a breach of etiquette. 1883. Us women know that all too well. If a man holds our hand a little too long, you start to get creeped out. Hats for men. Raising your hat. Men do not raise their hats to just anyone, to one another especially, save out of deference to the elderly, a person of note, or a clergyman. 1904. Here's an etiquette quiz. Is it rude for a man not to remove his hat when a lady enters an elevator? We have one yes. If it is an office or a business elevator, perhaps not, but the courtesy is always advisable. When in doubt, raise the hat. 1889. Is it proper for a young businessman to wear a high silk hat during business hours? No, a high hat should only be worn with a frock coat or a dress suit. 1889. Home and family. One close to all of our hearts. Memories of home. Here is one vision that never fades from the soul, and that is the vision of mother and of home. No man in all his weary wanderings ever goes out beyond the overshadowing arc of home. 1916. Home is the woman's kingdom, and there she reigns supreme. 1882. Not to strangers. Never give all your pleasant words and smiles to strangers. The kindest words and the sweetest smiles should be reserved for home. Home should be our heaven. 1883. Choose a husband. Oh, this is really a good one. All the men are cringing about now. How to choose a husband. The model husband. Young women should be able to find the husband of her choice. Honor, purity, strength, and courage. 1916. Find his defects. A young woman should take pains to find out the defects and weaknesses of the man who would make her his life companion. For defects he will have, else he is not of the earth. 1916. Don't go to it blind. You would not like to live with a liar, with a thief, with a drunkard for 20 or 30 years. 1886. some of these you can still see are relevant to present day. The lazy man. A lazy man will make but a weak band of support for his and your house. So will one deficient in fortitude, and that is the power to bear pain and trouble without whining. 1886. Choose a wife. I got to give equal time to both. How to choose a wife. The girl who brings to her husband a large dowry may also bring habits of luxury in a rich home. 1886. What men need wives for. It's not to sweep the house and make the beds and darn the socks and cook the meals, chiefly that a man needs a wife. If this is all he wants, hired servants can do it cheaper than a wife. What the true man most wants of a wife is her companionship, sympathy, and love. The way of life has many dreary places in it, and man needs a companion to go with him. 1916. A man should marry to obtain a friend and companion rather than a cook and a housekeeper. 1886. Even back then they were wise. Choosing a wife. Young man, a word in your ear. When you choose a wife, don't be fascinated with a dashing creature, fond of society, vain, artificial, and showy in dress. You do not want a doll or a croquet for a partner. Choose rather one of those retiring, modest, sensible girls who have learnt to deny themselves and possess some decided character. But above all, seek for a good disposition. No trait of character is more valuable in a female than the possession of a sweet temper. Home can never be made happy without it. 1864. Husbandly duties. Share the wealth. The plain duty of the husband is to make a frank statement of his income to his wife. Otherwise, she cannot properly regulate her expenses, and he will be constantly in fear lest she pass the limit of the ability to pay. 1892. As much as a camel. Seclusion begets morbidness. She needs some of the life that comes from contact with society. She must see how other people appear and act. It often requires an exertion for her to go out of her home, but it's good for her and for you. She will bring back more sunshine. It is wise to rest sometimes. When the Arab stops for his dinner, he unpacks his camel. Treat your wife with as much consideration. 1880. There's so much more to get through, but my time is up. Introductions here, you can see on the board here. Only those of impeachable integrity and sullied reputation should be introduced to a lady. 1892. Letters. Letters are to be written on good quality paper, not lined, and does not slant up or down. Marriage. A lot can be said on that. Let's go to the book for that one. This will be our last one for the day. We have so many to get through. I wish I could have more time to do them all. Look before you leap. A man who has ruined the body and broken the spirit of one wife and who seeks another with the same intentions will certainly be left sometime somewhere to work out his own salvation. The woman who has foolishly or unwittingly married such a one must also look out for herself, and she cannot secure peace while living in hell. 1897. That's a pretty harsh one. Well, as you can see, some of the things that we have learned today, I hope you can share with your children and grandchildren. As far as morals, let your justice and your righteousness be your guide. And as far as manners, let your humbleness and your integrity be your guide. And may we keep moving forward. Thank you.
Ask you each to sign your waivers as you leave the door. No legal liability or lawsuits or anything. Thank you, Cathy.
You're
First
welcome.
of all, I wanted to say it was remarkable how you presented this in character from a Victorian perspective. If you haven't had a chance to get to know Cathy and speak with her, she doesn't talk this way. Not normal.
I hope I wasn't too harsh of a teacher. Thank you for the apple.
Excellent presentation. So I'm going to be respectful of everyone's time, but I will think that maybe we could open up the floor for a couple of questions. If anybody has a burning question, feel free to shoot up a hand and ask.
Here's some of the ones that we didn't get to: miscellaneous, manners, money, motoring, manners, music, pets, proposals of marriage, rejected lovers, smokers and chewers, streetcars, street etiquette, table
manners. Might
manners.
have to have part 2.
Yeah, so any of these if you have any questions.
Well, again, thank you all for coming today. Thanks again to our sponsor, First Source Bank, for supporting this series. We really appreciate that our friends at First Source do that. Next month, because we moved the days around so that we can open this up to a wider audience, we've had a lot of success with that. So in June, it's going to be June 1st, that's a Tuesday, always at 11 o'clock. We will be at Ruthmere. Is it the game room, Jen? Okay, in the Ruthmere game room. And that's Diane Lewandowski, another volunteer, and she's going to get us primed and ready as we head toward Beyond Wedgwood Blue. She's going to talk about transfer print wear China. And so don't forget, Beyond Wedgwood Blue is our big blockbuster exhibit that's coming up July 6th through September 30th. It'll be principally here at Havilah Beardsley House. You'll see little pockets of it maybe in some other places, either on our campus or even around town. In other places you might see it in some showcases that we're going to be getting the word out. But Diane Lewandowski, June 1st at Ruthmere, and you can sign up and register for that online. And so again, one last round of applause for Cathy Ellsworth.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, could you speak up briefly about the last slide of women's suffrage?
Yes, definitely. That is part of our exhibit this year. It's 100th anniversary to the women's suffrage. Sensible and responsible women do not want to vote. President Grover Cleveland. Can you believe that? Exhaustion of the vital force. Women are everywhere today suffering from exhaustion of vital force due to the incessant demands of a life crowded with claims outside the home, either in social obligations, philanthropic, or civic interest, or the taxing strain of industrial life. Between these two comes the large percentage of American women, far larger than any other class, who need all their strength for necessary household tasks. 1913. A terrible strain on the family. Suffrage will place a new and terrible strain upon the family relation. 1909. Any other questions?
Again, waivers as you leave the door. Well, thank you, Cathy.
You're
And,
welcome. You're welcome.
one final word about that. We bring these things up because you have to know history to know the context of where you are now and what you want to become. And history isn't always pretty by any stretch of the imagination, and we all know that, but we have to remind ourselves so that we can be better.
Shows you where we came from.
That's right.
And how far we have yet to go.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and well presented, Cathy. Great job.
Thank you.
See
My
you all.
pleasure.